This is Rockhampton with Nyree Johnson, the show about the people who hold our region together, the volunteers, the founders, the quiet achievers behind our businesses, clubs, charities and not-for-profits. Real stories told plainly from people serving Central Queensland with heart. Here's Nyree.
Today's guest is Britney Schofield. Now, in 2026, Britney has won the Elders Rockhampton Showgirl competition and has some amazing plans for what it means to be in that space, and is a huge advocate to share with younger people what that competition is all about and what it can do for yourself, for your region, for your town, for your community. And I am really, really excited to have you on the show today, Britney. I did, of course, see you at the show and saw the things that you were getting up to from a distance, of course. And it is a real pleasure to have you here today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nyree, for having me on your amazing podcast. I have already seen some amazing people come through and seeing like Bill Oram on your podcast. So it's great to hear their stories. I have, yes, won the Rockhampton Showgirl Awards, which is amazing. But the best journey of it all was actually representing Rockhampton at the Central Queensland Sub Chamber Awards. So competing against a lot of other women in the Central Queensland region, which they were absolutely amazing. Their passion was coming through, their knowledge about the agricultural shows and what they wanted to do for their community, just as much as myself, was really good to hear. I was very grateful to win the Central Queensland Sub Chambers as well. So I will be making my way down to Brisbane next week to represent Central Queensland. So that's going to be very exciting.
That is so exciting and such an achievement as well. And I really look forward to unpacking what it means to go through this competition and progress through the different stages as well, because there might be a lot of young people out there who, you know, might be sitting back thinking, oh, could I do that? Could I not do that? Should I do that? And I would, invite you to share as much as possible about that process as we chat today. But before I really do get stuck into everything Showgirl and who Britney is and, you know, what this community means to you, tell me first, if you could be an expert at anything at all in the world, what would it be and why?
I would probably want to be an expert in mental health, our well-being, and being able to understand it from so many different point of view and perspectives from everyone who goes through mental health or well-being concerns, and really being able to understand how we can overcome that and how we can learn to prevent ourselves from getting to a point that we struggle to get back to a positive well-being. So that's probably something for myself I would actually really love to know all the topics on that.
It certainly is a specialty, and it is a field that needs a lot of love and attention and care. And the more people that understand, the better. Absolutely. That's a great one. Thank you. So, Britney, can you share with us, you know, what's life been like for you up until this point in time? What have been those key people and influences that really have shaped who you are today?
So we could start from when I was younger. Grandfather, he told me a lot of stories when he was working out on properties out at St. George, and I didn't get the opportunity to grow up on a farm, so I'm a townie. But I had his stories and was given his branding irons to me, and I think that was like my passion, and I was very drawn to the agricultural side and learning on how to work on properties. So I went to the Emerald Agricultural College to learn more about that. But when it comes to people who have shaped me to be the person I am today, I would definitely say my mum and dad. If they didn't embed their values and show me that there is so many opportunities for me and didn't hold me back, I think I probably wouldn't be the woman I am today. So from a younger point of view to now, I wouldn't be who I am today without them. But definitely right now, my son is my biggest star in my eyes. He's someone that I want to make sure that in the world he lives in the future, he gets to do everything that I get to do. He gets the opportunities to create his own passion. The world is his oyster. So making sure that I'm that role model for him.
He sounds like he's in very good hands with you as a mum and with your parents as grandparents. So very good hands he's in. So tell us a little bit about your journey, in the showgirl experience. What led you down that path? What attracted you to that opportunity? Just paint the picture of what it all looks like and how long it's taken you to get here.
So starting off, I've always been very passionate about speaking and getting involved in the community, and I've always had that feeling of wanting to do more. I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw showgirl applications for Rockhampton, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure about that. And so I kept going, and then it just kept popping up. So I was like, oh, I'm going to give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
I applied. I had Shani, who's like our showgirl mum. She showed us the way. We did public speaking. We did a lot of talking about community involvements. We had a lot of sessions with Toastmasters, and we had one of the ladies show us how to present ourselves and our speaking and the way we look, and then the way we respond to conversations. So it's a real big opportunity if you want to get yourself out there to improve in your own, confidence boost in a way. But also I actually learned that you don't actually have to be off the land to participate or to even apply to become showgirl. It's really a passion. If you've got passion for community, if you've got passion that you want to be able to be the ears and the voice of the community, if you love the agricultural shows and you want to be able to make sure that we're still going to have them in 50 years' time and try and learn how we can make them more visually appealing for the younger generation to be able to attend and to keep that going and to have the history behind it stay within the shows, which would be amazing. But people don't understand what the showgirl is. People used to believe that it was a beauty pageant, but that's not the case. It is a program for young women in our communities and being able to identify and celebrate them and show them that we have young women in our industry that could be community leaders. So it's really just celebrating and teaching the younger women to become leaders within our community. So it's like a leadership program for people between 18 and 28. So yeah, a lot of information.
No, it's fantastic because I am literally going to make up a number here, but I would say 80 to 90% of people would expect that it is a beauty pageant. It never really understood what it was until a couple of years ago, actually, when I had the chance to follow someone's journey through the program. And it was really nice to see what, the personal development that they were able to achieve by going through that program, and also the friendships that they're able to make, because obviously there's more than one person through the program. There can only be one winner, which is you in 2026, but there are lots of other very deserving young women out there as well that would have gone through that program with you. How long does that go for? Like, is it a few months? Is it a few weeks?
So from when I started, it was about 2-3 weeks in. From when I applied, about 3 weeks in, and then I was getting judged, and it was I'd say nearly a 4-week range mark from when you apply to the lessons that you've been provided to being judged and then being announced. But I don't see it as I didn't join up to win. I joined up because one, I knew I would get a lot of women relationships out of this. I'd be dealing with and talking with a lot of people in our community that make the community it is today. And it's really just getting my face out there and learning. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I did it.
Such an amazing experience and opportunity. And I think just even by you sharing a little bit more about what's involved, I think it would definitely encourage other young people to apply, or people who are listening that have young people in their lives that they could tap on the shoulder and say, hey, come on, I think you need to give this a go. And our community, like all small towns or big country towns like Rocky is, we need people like yourself who step up and show up and speak for our community and speak well and present well. And one of the things that I really appreciate about people is personal presentation. It's just one of my things. And it's so nice to see that being shown and taught through the program as well.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing you already turned up with quite a good skill set in that space to start with. And it just helps to refine and fine tune, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, you're definitely 100% right there. Like the support I was given through my employer QMag, from them providing me with corporate outfits and advertising me and shouting me out through our internal and external processes. It's kind of that support from my own employer and then the support from the community and my family. It's kind of really boosted my confidence in a way and just really shows what I am capable of doing and showing what I'm able to do moving forward.
Absolutely agree. And you're just getting started. Like, what a fantastic launch pad. And fantastic of your employer as well. QMag is one of those. And I'll admit, I didn't realize you worked for QMag before we started this podcast, but anything community happening around town, they're jumping on it most of the time, within reason, of course, but they are very big backers of Rockhampton and Central Queensland community and community events. So it makes sense. And it's, I guess, very fantastic opportunity to work for them as well and see that corporate side of, community giving.
Yeah.
So with winning the Rockhampton Showgirl and now moving to, and then winning Central Queensland, and you're moving to the state awards, which is coming up very soon. What's that process been like? Is there additional lessons and things that you learn between each of those progressions?
So really with that, it's more making sure that when you are going out, you're asking many questions that by the end of the day, you're writing it down so it stays in your mind. Otherwise, it's just going to go off. But you go to so many events, you network with so many people. It might be companies, it might be farmers, it might be other people within the competition. So from when I won Rockhampton to myself heading to Billawheeler for the sub chambers, there was about a 2-week mark. You go out for the day, you go around to farms, you learn a lot about what's important in the community in that area, which is really good. From there, you get asked a lot of questions, but you're not just being judged on the questions, you're being judged on how you're actually getting involved with the people that are sharing their farms, their community, their workplaces with you, and how you're actually integrating yourself in their environment and how you're handling them situations. So from there, I've now from sub chambers to going to state finals. I've had Zoom sessions. I've had to fill out a lot of forms. I've got a lot of invitations from government high teas to networking events to 150 gala dinners that you have to attend. But it's a lot to take on, but it is all exciting. You do get the opportunity to do more Toastmaster sessions, to have one-on-one conversations with judges. Everyone that's kind of participating in the Showgirl competition, VIPs, judges, sponsors, they're all very supportive in seeing you thrive through the process. It's not just about the end goal, it's about what you can do on the journey. So there's so many opportunities, there's so many things that you can do. All I say is anyone that does go through the journey, that they just take everything that they can, they soak it all in because you learn along the way.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And once you move to state, and just let's forward think here to, you potentially have the opportunity to win, is there a national award as well, or a national program or process?
From what I'm aware of, I'm not 100% sure on that one. I didn't even believe I was going to make it this far, but I did, which was amazing. All I know, it goes to states, and then from there, depending if you've won your Rockhampton, you've won Central Queensland, whichever district you're in, it's kind of just showing what are you going to be doing for the next 12 months? What are you going to do with that name, with that label being named as Showgirl? How are you going to use it to make our community better or sustain our farmers, sustain our agricultural shows? What are you going to do? Kind of thing.
Absolutely. And it's such a worthwhile question to ask as well, because anybody who puts themselves through something like this is not doing it for no reason. There is like personal development, professional development, networking, representing your community. They are all such important roles that, not everyone can do, and that's okay, but those who can should. And that's exactly what you're doing. And I guess that leads me into my next question, which is, what does this community actually mean to you? What does Rockhampton mean to you and that community contribution?
So when I was 18, bit of a deep subject, but when I was 18, I actually had to overcome a life-threatening illness. I didn't think I was going to make it. I had to say my bye-byes to my family.
Oh,
I
wow.
woke up a few weeks later after being in a coma, head to toe paralysed, and I had to learn to do everything again. The reason why I'm doing this is because the community supported my family and myself to back to where I am today. I wouldn't be the person, my family wouldn't be the people they are today without the community supporting and backing us. So in a way, it's kind of my way of giving back. And after going through such a traumatic life experience from a young age, I look at every day as a blessing and I think, okay, what can I do now to make the community, to make myself, to make my family better, to just support people? Because if I didn't get that, my family didn't get that, then what kind of community do we have if we don't have connections?
Absolutely agree, yes. And being involved in the community is such an incredible way to make those connections with people that you otherwise wouldn't necessarily socialise with, or you may not work with them. It's just such a fantastic opportunity. And I'm sure through the showgirl process as well, there would have been some, unofficial mentors and women and men who you came across who may have taught you a thing or two at the Emerald Ag College, of course. It goes back to the cliche, it takes a village to raise a child, and you're not a child, but, you've had a whole heap of people surround you to essentially give you this platform, and you're doing really well with it.
Thank you.
Do you know this might be off the top of your head or you might not know, but has there been a Rockhampton person who has won the sub chambers and then gone on to state and won state that you know of in recent years?
I believe their name is Emily. Can't remember her last name, but I believe she won 2024 and she made it to states. I'm unsure if she won states.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, we do definitely have fantastic young women in this town, so it doesn't surprise me that it was that recent. But yes, so you've just shared with us a very significant challenge that you've overcome, and the communities wrap themselves around you, and now you're returning, that gift. Has there been, of course, it's almost like this is a redundant question, but that you've won the Rockhampton Showgirl and you've won the Sub Chamber Showgirl, which is a significant achievement. Is there anything else at all that comes to mind that was like a life-changing pivotal moment that really changed your perspective and your path? It could be the incident when you were 18 or it could be the Showgirl, but does anything else come to mind?
Yeah. I've always been driven this way. I'll get to one level and I'll be like, okay, what's the next thing I can achieve? And I barely and this is something I do need to take under my own belt, is learn to pause and acknowledge what I've successfully overcome and actually look back at everything that I've achieved. Might not be relevant to the showgirl side of things, but definitely becoming a mother had changed my perspective on life, and that you're growing this beautiful child that looks up to you every day, and how you can make the life for them that they deserve be easier to overcome, so they're not facing so many challenges. Because that is one of my goals, is as going through the showgirl process, is being able to tell the younger generation to just give it a go, that you are going to be faced with challenges in your life. We can get through them, that you're not alone, and that when you've been offered an opportunity, you say yes. You don't turn it away because you don't know where that opportunity is going to lead you to. So I think from everything that's happened in my past and moving forward, it really makes me want to show the younger generation what their opportunities are, and how we as people who have gone through life-changing circumstances, how we can support people who are going through that.
Absolutely. And that is one of my favourite sayings as well, is to say yes and figure it out later, especially when you are so well connected to your community and you've got people around you that are watching and supporting you and mentoring you. So there's always going to be someone out there that can help you, plug that gap that you might have, or it might be a perceived gap, for example. But yes, no, that's fantastic advice. So, it can't always be easy getting up, putting one foot in front of the other, being a mum, being unwell when you were younger, and there may be some things, lingering in your mind because we always like to think about things in life. Going through the showgirl, putting yourself out there, you just constantly show up, which is fantastic. What is that thing that keeps you moving forward, that keeps you showing up every day, even on the days when they're really, really hard?
I think it's my drive, because I know if I am very much, I stop, I need something to do. I'm very energy driven. So I think my drive, knowing what the goal is at the end, is kind of why I wake up and keep going, because I know when I was 18, I didn't get the opportunity to just lay in bed and let it overcome me. I had to push every day. And I know that for my next goal and being able to teach and support younger generations and women my age, that there is no stopping and having that time to just let it overcome you. You need to push through and keep going. And my drive is.
Yeah, I love that, except for the bit where you stop and take stock of what you've actually achieved. So stop for a moment there.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, no, fantastic. You've given us so much advice and so much inspiration today, but for anyone younger coming along and thinking about giving something a go, other than say yes and figure it out later, which is my words, but, it aligns with yours, what advice would you give to the next generation? And what advice specifically about Showgirl? If there are maybe there's some women out there my age that have got, 18 to 28-year-old daughters, what can you share that will maybe get us to shoulder tap a young woman to encourage them to go through this process?
So I would say that you've got your values and anything that goes against your values. If you sat down and was like looking at an opportunity and it aligned with what your values are, what your passions are, and what your goals are, or it could better yourself personally, I would say yes to. But take a moment to sit down, figure out what your goals are, go against your values. If you believe it's not suited for you, there's always other opportunities to do something else. But if you have a passion to make a difference, if you have a voice that you believe can make change, if your passion and this opportunity aligns with your own internal values, then pursue it, because what's the worst that happens? You say yes to something or you say no, and you never know what the outcome would have been if you said yes. So that's my advice.
That is fantastic advice. Thank you. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today. Yeah, I wish you the very best, and I look forward to hearing how you go at state. And yeah, I can imagine you are inspiring a lot of young women, and your son, of course, to go through this journey and reflect inwards. I do have one more question for you, actually. And you mentioned before about goal setting. Now, that can be very foreign and unusual for a young person to really think about. Do you have a strategy or like a way that you, say, sit down and work through what it is you're actually working on, and then a way to track and measure? Little bit left field, but I think it's so important because, we can all just float through life. And we can all just grab opportunities as they come. But if you've actually got goals that align with different opportunities, it just makes a big difference to what you're able to achieve in your lifetime, which is quite short. But how do you approach that? How do you approach goal setting?
So I look at, we could have let's say 20 years time, you want to be a CEO, or you want to own your own business, or you want to be a hairdresser or a tradesperson. They are very far ahead goals. I say shorten it and look at micro goals, micro achievements. Some people don't know what they want to do in 20 years. I don't. I do know, so I have a passion for speaking. I have a passion for giving things a go that make me feel like I'm stepping out of my comfort zone because I know it's going to improve me. So I say focus on the micro goals. Set yourself micro goals. If it means day by day, you focus day by day. If you have a goal by the end of the week, then you figure out what that goal is and you work your way towards it. I think that people need to understand that saying no means that you're completely cutting off an opportunity. If you say yes and you're unsure halfway through, you can always pull out, but you gave it a go. So it's all about setting micro goals. Don't look that 20 years ahead because the journey to that goal may change, and that people need to learn that you say yes to opportunities because you're giving it a go, not because you feel as though it's going to help you in 20 years. It's giving it a go because you might open up a passion you didn't even know about.
Absolutely. That is fantastic advice. Thank you. Sometimes the idea of goal setting is quite overwhelming for some people, and, they do it organically or maybe subconsciously, but that intentional goal setting, it's a very different game, and it's a very rewarding game, as you would know.
Yes, it is.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast today. And as I said earlier, I do wish you the very best at state. And I'll be cheering for you, as will a lot of people in Rockhampton and Central Queensland. But thank you so much for carving out time in your day to record this with me.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I really hope that this does hit a lot of other young women and it gives them the prompt of, like, I can do this too. So fingers crossed that's where it goes.
Absolutely. Imagine if the Showgirl nominations next year exploded. That's a great outcome. Yeah. Because that really shows us, yes, it just shows us how many young women there are in Rockhampton who have a voice and who just need that bit of a gentle nudge.
And that's what I needed. And here I am today.
Fantastic.
Well,
thank you so much.
That's another episode of Rockhampton with Nyree Johnson. If this story stayed with you, follow the show on Spotify and YouTube so the next one finds you. And if you know someone in our region quietly doing good, someone who belongs in this chair, get in touch through www.nyreejohnson.com.au. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.